Hi everybody. So this is where we left things at the end of part 3. I've started to bring this flower in. You know, I added some of this to take out the pink. I added some seed stitch to just sort of create a bit of movement in there. And you know, sometimes when I video or I photograph and I look back at it, some things jump out at me that I might not have noticed, you know, whilst being so engrossed in it. So it's good to step back and have a look at it, or even take a photo of something and then have a look at it and see what jumps out at you. Well, this line here jumps out at me. That's one. I want to try and do something about that. I had also intended, and we will in this one, do some sort of, you know, more lines like that are just sort of moving through higher up and out at this corner. So that's a plan. We're going to finish this, you know, do a bit more work on that. But one of the things that's been disturbing me is I want this kind of leaf, and I've got a patch of them here that's very hard to tell. Yes, I can see what's happening there, but I would like it to kind of also come out at this corner. So I was having a look. Okay, let's have a look here. That's where it'll finish, like that, sort of. Alright, so I went and I got out some patchwork material. I love these Balinese ones because they have, you know, variation in them, all these watercolor ones. So yeah, I was just sort of thinking, okay, well, I want it to look like it's coming out, that these are leading somewhere. So that was the plan, and then I sort of just start to do this, and I, you know, whatever, I just put some in. Wouldn't hurt to break up that bit of white either, because that's a bit of a disturbance on me. Yeah, so that it will lead my eye to these, and then maybe it should also lead my eye out again. I don't know yet, but you know, something. I just made leafy shapes, but not an entire leaf, all sort of leading in from the edge. So we've got that, and I could even, I don't know, do something. What else do I have? Maybe that one's better like that. Don't know. I could always cut some more, but that was my aim, is to play with that. Like a long one there to come out, take a bit more of that white out. Oh, I like how that's now looking. But you know, something like that. If we very delicately did that. That's not delicate. Okay, so if we looked at it like that and we said, because you know, these are the things, like this blue one has never really completely gelled. I wanted to do something with it, these blue leaves, and to bring that green in, you know, with a bit of stitching as well, that we bring it together, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm going to do something like that on top, so that's adding another layer. And then we're going to play with, like I said, some couching, some finishing off. I would like to bring in some of those lovely silky rayon-y threads to highlight some of this darker area and bring it through into the other flower. And then we're going to just see what we think. And we just keep playing. Oh, here's another leaf. Look at that. Where did that one? Yeah, that looks quite all right then, I think. Yes, I'm going to glue them down, stitch them just like I have here around the edges in something, and then we will come back to it and see what we think. Right, well, I'm working on these leaves, and as I said, I want to blend them in a little bit. Let's get a little bit closer. Can you see how that one there, I've added some dark veins in it that go out from the center, and then in the darker one I've added the lighter colored veins heading out from the center, and just bringing in those colors that are from different parts of different leaves helps them blend just a little bit better. Here, let's see if you can pick that up. I've just added a bit of seed stitch of that same aqua into the green there to make that blend in as well. So you can see that, me working on those to blend this series of leaves in. And I'm going to continue, and I just thought you might like to see some of it, how it's done. So as I said, I'm using light on the darker ones, and some dark and some light on those ones. And eventually they start to move in together. I'm just going to take one single thread. Right, so for a start, you can see that I haven't done anything with these yet. I've started on these, and all I've done so far on these ones is go around the outside and then a running stitch up the center of that one. Have you noticed that I'm not using any difficult stitches? Really, they've just been plain stitches. Either they're in a line, thus being a running stitch, or they're higgledy-piggledy, and then they're like a seed stitch. So, I have this, can you see the lines there? I'm going to start on this one there, because I have a light colour on, and just, I don't mind that dark line, but I'm going to have this as well. Just go up there, right to the point. And then I'm going to just do some of these from the center out on an angle, and then pretty close together I'm going to do another one back, go down a bit and out to there. So there's still some of that gauze, no, what was it, chiffon over there. And this is helping as well to hold it down at the same time as I'm making them more leaf-like and blending. This doesn't take long, but it does make a difference. So there's a lot of things you can do to make it more leaf-like, but adding veins is a quick and easy way to do it. Veins in the central stem there help that. And you know, whilst I've got that colour on, I'd probably zip up to this one, which is quite dark, and I just add a few in there as well. So I think you're getting the gist of what I'm doing. It's all about blending those different colours in a little bit towards each other so that they're not so different. Yeah, so you can do that. You could do some seed stitch. I'm just, yeah, I don't have to do them both sides. I can do just a couple. This side, I can do pretty well what I like. Now, what do you think? Is that helping? Well, I think it will by the time I definitely need some more dark on these ones to blend them in. And so I'm just going to do more of that and show you when I'm finished, so that you're not having to watch me every step of the way, because I do have other things planned. Okay, I've done a little more. Leaves here, this one here with some dark lines in it. I've even done some on these, you know, so I'm just going to say that's fine for now and move up in this direction. I have these 3 leaves to do, but also the other thing, and this is something I wanted to talk about, was when something disturbs you, and like I said, sometimes it's only when you take a photo that you notice it. But you know, some things do disturb me, but I don't think, oh, that's it, it's wrecked. I just keep playing. It's like I still am very undecided here. And sometimes I think, oh, okay, well, it doesn't matter, I can put another leaf, I could put another butterfly, I could do something. Not sure yet. I might send it into the background with some seed stitch. But, you know, these are things that just bother me. But I like mistakes, and I like the way that it will help you branch out to do something different than what you expected. because you know that's all about the creative side of it all. Okay, so remember the thing that I didn't like was how that was a line there. So I'm going to add some sort of, you know, simple stitches to shade that in a little bit. At the moment I've got a tiny bit of brown on my needle, so I'll just start with the brown. And I don't know, maybe I'll just do some stitches up. Maybe do it on this side and then leave darker for the other side. So no, this little bit of brown isn't going to do much. But starting there and then going past, that's what I want to do. Very uneven, you know what I mean? Like I'm going high again there. And that's all fine. I'm just trying to make us not see that line there quite so bad. So I'll be doing something like that there. Something, maybe some seed stitch here of a darker colour to bring that in. And just to disguise my eye and make me not feel quite so uncomfortable. So that's my next step. Now here's that area I really didn't like that much. What I did to disguise this part of where it goes across is I just did some veins on the leaf. On this one I just did a little bit of seed stitch over the top of that, and on this one here I just interspersed a few different lines, different colours, just to break up that straight line. If I wanted to do anything more, I could probably use this grey colour and down into that tiny bit there to disguise that completely. But you know, we'll see how I feel. There is plenty to keep me going. Here I am starting to have a go at this flower. I tried some seed stitch, you can see it here, in a very shiny silky thread, but I'm not that impressed. So I grab a lavender colour and I'm now doing a running stitch around the edge. So now I'm grabbing some light blue, just a strand or two, and just working on doing a little bit of straight stitches in those petals, some into the green to lighten it, some into the white to brighten it. So I'm just looking at it again in its frame. I haven't got everything happening yet that I want to with this flower, but let's just have a look. Can you see that white edge? And it goes up and around that one. And I'll drag them across and into some others that will really make that pop. Already I can see that we've blended quite a lot, but a little bit more wouldn't hurt. Can you see this patch here where we've added some, let's see if I can hold it with one hand and point with the other. Where are we? There. Some dark blue right down the bottoms of those petals and out into this where it's sort of we had the two different materials. Let's blended that. You can see that overall I've kept lighter stitches to the top, darker ones at the bottom. But in these green ones, green ones here, I suppose I was bringing in more blue. Okay, let's just have a little chat. I've been using some of this. It's a bit of turquoise blue in between the green and the blue, and I'm using it here and the white, and I'm starting to really like that, so I'll do a little more. It's a luscious colour. I think it's just the right colour to blend between the green and this blue here. So I'm gonna just start with, I don't know, start down here maybe. And you can see that on the other side I did a bit of this. I just did a few stitches, uneven stitches out from there. And I also did a little bit of outlining. Just a few stitches to just really make that turquoisey colour come in there. Now on these ones here, the outer ones, I don't have anything, and it's sort of from this central one here that I'm just bringing a little bit of colour out. And also I'll probably do a bit of colour into the blue. Can you see here I have to try and make it fit in a little bit better. Yeah, that's taken this colour back into that, and you know, we might get some of this nice blue into that one as well and lighten up the tips, and that'll probably be about it for the flower, because I can see already that that is what I want. So let's have a look at a little bit of a close-up photography of some of these stitches, and you'll see they're not very neat, but they do have a great effect. Right, well, whilst I'm working on this, I haven't forgotten that my last thing that I wanted to do was a bit of couching, and I said I wanted something to go out the side. I mean, can it stand any more? I don't know, but I grabbed a few threads and I just said I'll have a look. So I've got this. That's a delicious bit of green. Do you know, something like that would go in and out. I think it could handle that. What else did I find? I found, oops, this one here, which I quite liked, and it's more of a rough and ready one, but it's still nice. Something like, you see how they're making sort of sweeping curves through, something like that. I found this one. Look at that, it's a sort of a lovely bubbly kind of one. You know, it's possible. Maybe it can go up right up the top. Maybe I can do something up here. I don't know yet. But that's kind of what I was looking at. Something like that. Not a lot, just a few. I've also got this is a hand-dyed one, and it's green at one end and purple at the other. Yeah, that might come into it. Now, there's still plenty of work on this. I like it. I like it. Is there any area I don't particularly like? Then, you know, maybe that's a good place to be putting this. This one doesn't really gel. Maybe it can go through. Don't know. So you know what I mean? It's sometimes if the bits that you don't like, you could actually put something over or distract people's eyes from it or something. So I'll just start doing some of that, and then I might go back to the flower, just so that I know I've shown you everything that I said I would, and then we can get it up for you to see. And we better talk about couching anyway. What is couching? So some threads you may be able to thread a needle and just stitch through, like I've done here with this purple. At some threads like this, you won't be able to pull through. And in that case, what you do is find an ordinary piece of cotton, and in this case I'm just gonna, I don't know, use something that's not going to show up terribly much. Now say we want to put this one in, you know, say I want to disguise that corner a little bit, come down through here and maybe just you know, in and out, I don't know, something like that. So just to show you what couching is, I will do some things that I just pull through the fabric like ordinary running stitch, but couching is something a little different, so we'll cover that now. Alright, I'm gonna go over that corner, so that'll be my first one. When your thread is too long, you can either trim it or pull part of it through, so it's a more comfortable thing to length to pull. I'm just going to go here, and just to make sure I'm not going to run out, I'm just going to anchor it off the edge there where it's not going to be seen. Right, so I've done a little stitch underneath and over the top of it so that it anchors it in place. Now what I do next is I go underneath and up, and then I go over it to anchor it in place, and underneath again, and I travel underneath. Oh, I could also stitch through if I wanted. Some things you stitch through if it was a big fat ribbon or something. And all I'm going to do is try and concentrate on making it a bit fluid looking. You know, I don't want it to be a really strong angle. I would prefer that it flowed a bit, because that's the point of it. And we just go like that. Now you can always draw a line where you want to put it, or if you want to put it at all. You might think that's a step too far. It's just that I said I would do it, and I like to play. And the colour that I used is working in quite well with that. This is a lovely sort of hand, what do you call it? Can't think. Anyway, handmade yarn. Lots of different yarns joined together. That's why it's thick and thin, and it's got little bits of this and that in it, and I think they're great. See how we had this one here just ending? Perhaps I'll use this to disguise that. Or I could sand it up like that and disguise some of that white, because I still haven't decided what to do with it. How's that? You know what we've done? We've added a bit of texture, and I liked the movement. Now why? Well, I think because the butterflies are in there. They're sort of moving through. These could be trails from the other insects or something. And it just adds a certain pop or something like that. You know, something like that. What do you think that would be? I know it's not much, but sometimes things like that are just nice to play with. So you can see what I'm doing. I'll do a little bit more of that. I've showed you how to couch, and I'll come back to you. We're just looking at a little bit of the detail now, just so that you can see the shine in some of those areas. Really is very, very pretty. I have added some couching, I'll show you in a moment, but what I wanted to say was, do you remember how we put that seed stitch in? Well, I put this fluffy, airy couching one in, but I'm just doing a series of those shiny, very pale aqua in there, just to match in with the white that I did earlier, and to make that thing not feel so out of place. So now we'll have a proper look. Well, you can see I've done some couching. You know, it could also be vines, because we've got vines coming up here. So why not? It could be vines. Really, it just helps blend it all in and give it interest, I think. But I have used some little tricks too, I just want to tell you about. Remember, I didn't like all the pink, so I went through the pink. Here I didn't like this white gap, so I've got at least two things that are couched through it, and it you know, makes it not so noticeable. And I've done that a lot with bits that I haven't liked, you know, bits that I'm not quite happy with, like, you know, these corners have got a lot in to try and hold it down. I never liked this blue leaf much, so I've actually got two that come up through that. And, you know, with a little bit more playing, and I think I am done, but I'll show you that in photographs. You know, maybe a little bit of colour here, but you know, like I liked doing this little bit of seed stitch. I might do a little bit more just to bring in, you know, what was this all about? Well, you know, we can have another little patch of seed stitch go through there, and yeah, something else, maybe just a little bit here on this blue, and yeah, a little bit here to sort of bring that in or out. Yeah, so I know there's been an awful lot go into this, and it's strange, and some people may have thought, well, why? But you know, I'm happy. I'm happy because it's a great experiment in joining, you know, things together that you wouldn't think would go together, but they have, and that makes me happy. And look at this lovely travel that we have going up through that there to the butterflies in the sky. I think of this as like a wild jungle kind of garden, you know. The butterflies are heading up into the sky, but the, you know, all of this lovely wild growth is also reaching up to the sky. So for now, I'm just going to leave it here. This is, like I said, a very long project. Next time, I promise I'll do something more simple. If you have liked what you've seen, then don't forget to press like and subscribe to my channel so that you can see what else I might be getting up to in the future. All of my links are below in the description. And once again, thanks for watching.